Okay, good evening, everyone. We are now live. I am Reggie, as you can tell by the name, and that's Mitou Charles. Tonight is February 1, 2023, and you are watching a special emission of the Haitian FREE Thinkers. Um, it used to be the radio show, but we're doing like the interview series. But basically, tonight we have Mito here, and like I've been trying to get her on forever. It's like a just conversation between two friends. This show is going to be um, impromptu discussion, education, talk, and it's going to be in Creole and in English. So I'm working on bilingual stuff for the audience. So for those who don't know, I'm Reggie. I founded this group called Haitian Free Thinkers back in January of 2012. So we just turned 11 years old, and Haitian Free Thinkers is one of the world's few groups for Haitians who are not religious. So I happen to be an atheist, and tonight we're talking about polyamory. Now, why polyamory? You'll find out why, but it's kind of tied with religion a little bit. But so Mito was kind enough to join me tonight, and she can tell you about herself in a second, and we'll talk about that and whatever else. So I see where we already have one person waiting in the queue. So the time is now 9:30. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna let Mito talk for at a minimum 20 minutes, minimum, and then like if she wants to, we'll pick and choose who we bring on, and we can talk about whatever questions you may have. So sounds good. If you guys enjoy the show, you want to do a follow up, whatever, we can do that. So we want to be respectful of Mitu's time, and so let's start. So Mitu, come on, yeah.
Hey Reggie, bonsoir tout mon captain de. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me on your show. It's been so long. I've known that you've been doing the show. I wasn't sure if it was on and off. But this is actually the first time. I am ashamed to say, for as long as we've been friends, actually, that I've never gotten on the show. But I am happy to be here tonight, especially talking about polyamory. Merci un pile parce que invité. So I'm very excited, and we just can have a conversation like civilized people and friends and all that. So I'm excited.
Okay. So a quick introduction of Dimunyo Kiasuye, like a little background.
Okay.
Qu'est-ce qui Mitu Charles?
So again, my name is Mitou Charles. Moi, sorti Haiti. I came here in 2001. So I've been in the States for about 21 years now. Um, so I grew up in Haiti, basically born and raised in Haiti. Lem vin la se gran moun mwen te, 21 ans. I'm 42 now, and I am a mother of two young children. I am a entrepreneur. I have a hair salon in Buford.
Buford, Georgia. Go check it out, everybody.
Yes, Buford, Georgia, multicultural
Hmm.
and unisex as well. And I am also an entertainer. I used to dance. I don't do so much dancing anymore, but I sing. I have a live band. We perform at private events. We also put our own shows together around Atlanta, the metro Atlanta. So if you don't know us, check us out. It's Mitou Charles and Essence Creole. Essence is ESANS. Creole is KREYOL. So check us out. We love to sing music from our parents' generation, a little bit of the new generation, just love and the culture as well. We do a lot of folkloric music.
And it's a very very good band. I want to give a shout out to all the people waiting in the queue. Thank you for supporting us. It's late in the evening, but your guys are rocking with us. Mr. S, I see you. You were first. Congratulations. I think I know what the S stands for, but we're gonna hold that till the end. Kasand, who could that be? Me too. Who could that be?
Who could that be? I'm not sure. I've never heard that name ever
Mhm.
in the Haitian community.
And then Mr. RODY Woody, shout out to you. So if you guys can hang on, we want to get let me to talk a little bit, and then we'll bring you guys on maybe for a little bit. The chat is open. I see people writing in the chat room, so I'll monitor that. So
Okay.
me too. Pour ça n'a parlé de polyamory, qui bagay ça? Est-ce que gon mot en créole pour qu'à expliquer mon yo même de qui ça est like definitions. What is polyamory?
Hi Wotzi. Wotzi c'est juste Canada, William Kwe.
Oh
Hi
wow.
Wotzi. Yes. Thank you for being here. Bon, polyamory c'est m'pense m'pa konnen si gen yon mot exact en créole vraiment pas même garder ça même mais nous gen yon mot français pour lui c'est polyamour ça veut dire plusieurs amours. So ou ka gen plusieurs et relations amoureuses avec différents mondes. So polyamory is many loves.
Many loves. Okay. So pour qui ça moun like sometimes when they hear about polyamory they feel a little bit gêné about it. Et pas bagay qui bagay di péché non but like it's
C'est pas mal
if it,
normal en
yeah,
tabou.
yeah. Ou supposé remet un seul monde pour ça qui a fait de remet deux monde ça, trois monde, combien monde? What's all this about?
Bon, à cause de gens culturels, c'est pas seulement culture haïtienne, parce que même dans culture américaine là, tout, ou joignent que il y a un pile monde qui, they raise their eyebrows at the mention of polyamory if they even know the word. If they don't know the word, the smart ones, they go look it up on Google and they're like, oh, no. A lot of times, I think it has to do with the culture, like I said, because we were raised in our culture to be monogamous, and that's what is prevalent everywhere. Um, so we have learned that. So to unlearn that this is not the only way, I'm not saying there's a right way or there's a wrong way. Because you're monogamous, that doesn't mean you're doing things wrong. It's just there is, I would like to share that there is more than one way to love and to relate with people.
There is more than one way to love and relate to people. Um, so how did you find out about polyamory? Like, how did you even hear about the term or come to,
So
yeah.
personally, I feel like I am polyamorous at heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just didn't know there was a term or even a community or support for it. Because I can remember as far back as a teenager, uh, I would have boyfriends who found it weird in that sense. Excuse me, that I never was jealous. And I even welcome people who like them. Because on connaît pas Haïti seulement. Là, mon âme garde ménage ou tu vas essayer pousser mon nan like pour fâcher pour que ça mon âme garde ménage comme ça and everything. But I never had those feelings. I was always kind of like, oh, okay, you're interested, and pas jamais un problème avec ça. And so later on in life, I, discovered as well that I did not, ça pas dérangé à l'idée que on l'autre monde t'a partagé, même mon avec, comme si un monde que dans relation avec, pas de problème pour me connaître que on l'autre monde t'a dans relation avec en même temps avec moi-même. And then I think there were several steps, there were several différentes étapes dans façon que me penser et que me vient aboutir à polyamory.
Mm-hmm.
So as I got older, I kind of had the idea of an open relationship, and I was always kind of like, oh yeah, I definitely don't mind that. I would actually love to experience that, not just in my favor, but in my partner's favor as well. And then until I got it, my divorce process started about almost 5 years ago. And I knew then that I did not want to live any other way. So I was interested. And I was talking to a friend of mine. Am I allowed to say the name of the friend who actually put me through it?
That's up to you. You can, if they don't mind, I don't mind.
Do I have your consent?
You got my consent. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so a friend of mine named Reggie. That's
Oh
why
my God.
I asked if I have your consent.
There's more than one Reggie in the world, but I think I know the guy.
Exactly, you know that guy.
Yeah.
So, as we were talking, and I'm explaining how I feel about relationships and how I don't mind the idea of dating multiple people or somebody who's dating me have multiple partners either. So that's when my friend suggested that, oh, maybe you would be interested in this group, because this is what it's called. It's called polyamory and this and that. And I was like, oh, yeah. So invited me to this group on Facebook, and I started learning, and I was in awe. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I did not know there was a community, and that you can actually live openly as a polyamorist. And then while I was in there, I met this Haitian lady, which I was very shocked. I'm like, wow, there's a Haitian lady, and she's actually a little bit older as well. It's not somebody my age. Like, she could probably be my mother, who was in the group, and she invited me to another group. It's kind of like a subgroup of that main group,
Hmm.
that's like more towards dating. So I joined both groups, and then from that point on, she also made some recommendations. And as I'm participating in the groups, there's always discussions and support resources on, you know, how to be about it. So that's how I got into actually using the term polyamory. But I always felt like in me, in my heart, I was always a polyamorist.
So that's wonderful. It's called finding your tribe. Bringing it back to religion a little bit. The tie-in is that when I became an atheist, I had the same kind of epiphany. Just trying to find people that are like me and feeling uh, somewhat lonely. Knowing my thoughts evolving as a person as you gain more information. As far as polyamory is concerned, I've experienced the position of liking more than one person at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew it was possible. I think, like logically speaking, I've had different instances in my life when people say, like, well, if this happened, what should we do about it? Specifically, like I remember this one guy, this Muslim guy, he asked me, since if given that there's more females in the world or in a particular area than men, and let's say all of these people want to get married, they're of marriageable age, they are, consent, what should be done about it? And
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, wow, but he was trying to push more of the Islamic thing,
Mm-hmm.
as far as men having uh, the,
Polygamy.
the ability, right? And there's a difference for those who don't know between polygamy and polyamory and polyandry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he was kind of like asking me that, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good question." To me, it worked in my favor because if that hypothetical situation was there, I could have had multiple wives. But I never, I never looked at it as a real possibility. It was just just a thought process. But I didn't really know about polyamory until I actually met. I was talking to a woman on Facebook, many years ago, and she told me that her boyfriend went to his girlfriend's house, and I was like, "What? Like you're okay with that?" And she was like, "Yeah, she's okay with it," and that
Mm-hmm.
she understood the nature of men. She said that's how, basically, she said something about that's how men are, that's how
Mm-hmm.
people are, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like, as she supports, like it was like a she supports him. It was like weird. It was really weird. I felt because the way I grew up is that of the two genders, men and women, the women are supposed to be more jealous, more possessive. Like, it's hard to get to a woman's heart type of thing. And it's kind of like once you get there, like they hold you like, it's kind of like, we, the men, we have more license to be out there and a lot of times men end up doing stuff, they call us, words like dog and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's supposed to be one-on-one, but a lot of people are doing bad stuff called cheating, side chick, and that's
Right.
that's that's the culture I grew up in. So it's always been a struggle. So when polyamory was introduced to me, it was kind of like, wow, it was mind-blowing because it wasn't, a lot of people was going to think, oh, it's about sex, but it's
Right.
not. It's not.
It's not just about sex. Of course, in every relationship, most relationships, I don't want to say every relationship, most relationships, sex is involved. But I mean, I like you, I grew up in the Haitian culture where my father had three, I mean, I have three different sets of siblings because he had a child when he was younger. And then growing up, I knew of a stepmom who didn't live with us. She had her own children. She had three kids. Well, yes, she had three kids. The oldest one passed away when I was a very young age. But it was the two families. And the two families, like, so let's say this year this woman is pregnant and the next year the other woman is pregnant, and it just was back and forth. So I saw that kind of dynamic growing up. Now, did the women initially consent to that? I don't think so. It was my father's choice, I'm very sure of that. But then they realized, okay, well, you know, we can coexist, I guess, because
We
the
can or cannot.
we can.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I don't know what the dynamic between the women were for real, but when they were in front of us, like we used to go spend the night at my stepmom's house or a couple days, and vice versa. My brothers and sisters, they used to come over for days at a time. And we were pretty much kind of blended, just not living under one roof. Now, you could sense tension between the women at times. But my dad actually lived with us, with my mom and my siblings, but they coexisted. So, and I saw it all around. But it was usually the men. The men had many families. Most of the men that I knew, they had at least one side chick or some children that weren't from the main family. So we've been around that kind of culture for a long time, except the only difference was only the men were accepted into that lifestyle. Women weren't supposed to even look at another man with lust, yet alone engage with them and
You,
excuse
you,
me,
you you
even
can even be
envision.
friends. You can even be friends.
Exactly.
I
And
mean,
even envision like having a relationship with another
mm-mm,
man
you
while
can't.
you with somebody. So, and that's why polyamory offers, it's pretty much, I don't want to say equality, but technically it's equality because you're a human being, I'm a human being, and
Hmm.
the same blood that runs through your vein. Yes, women have equal options and opportunities. Exactly. So that's it. Thank you, Facebook user. Yes. So yeah.
Yeah, equal opportunities is one way to put it. You know, and I think that's good, but it can be scary, especially in a patriarchal society. I think it's safe to say Haitian society is patriarchal in
Very
nature. So change can be scary, reality can be scary, but the human nature still takes over. I know what you're talking about. My grandparents, multiple kids, multiple baby mamas, whether they knew each other or not, is usually it's like in secret, right? So
mm-hmm.
what I really, really I guess marvel at polyamory, the people that are out and honest with themselves is the relief. And it's all about being honest. That's what I really love about it. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to do so because I'm sure that you can, I guess, scare people off to think like, wow, like you're what? You're Kisa, you're polyamory. Doesn't that mean that you're gonna be doing stuff? But if the person comes out, when they first meet you and say, like, hey, I have the ability and I'm honest with myself, so I'm going to be honest with you, that I can like multiple people, you would think that would be received well, but how has that experience been with you when you kind of share that
So
with people?
I let's start with dating sites, right? So I'm on dating websites, just a couple different ones, not many. Um, what I ended up having to do is putting it in my bio. So if you take the time to read my bio, you know upfront that I am polyamorous, and you can choose if you want to engage with me or not. That way, we're not wasting each other's time. Um, but I still have people who message me, but because of past experience, the first message, I say it again. Hey, I hope you read my bio. I am polyamorous. What do you know about it? And a lot of times I find they didn't even read the bio. And some, they go look it up quickly and then come back and be like, oh, I'm cool with that. That's an insert. That's a red flag to me. It's kind of like, you don't even know what that is. So if you're telling me you just cool with that without knowing what it is, because a lot of people, as soon as they hear, oh, free for all sex. So that's usually the the idea that people have about polyamory. And I've had people who are like, "Oh, I don't share my woman. I don't do this. I don't." I actually had a Haitian guy that sent me a message, so I said I told him, "Hey, did you see that I am polyamorous, whatever?" And then he's like, "Oh, I'm Haitian. We don't share our women." And I'm like, "So what are you doing in my inbox then? Because it says it right there on my bio." So I ended up blocking him. But and then as far in regular life, because I am open about it. A lot of people still don't understand it. And Google is free. You'd think that people would just Google it real quick and have a little understanding of it if they're approaching you. I've had many married men approach me and be like, well, I'm discreet. I'm like, sir, I'm not looking for your discretion. you know, I'm discreet as well in everything I do in my life, but I will not do anything in secrecy. If you can tell your wife that you're talking to me, what you're talking to me about openly, and she's okay with that, then we'll have a conversation. Until then, please get off my back. So a lot of times people think it's like, oh, she's open to having sex with everybody.
That's the number one thing people think,
Hmm.
off rip, and that's what education is all about. That's part of the reason why we're doing this show, and to show our faces, my face, Pali Creole, to show that this is real, you
Hmm.
know. Um, and yeah, Google's free, but
Not many
man,
people use it.
they don't use it. They don't use it. So I'm sure the number one question
Hmm.
that people think of besides sexual freaky deaky thing
Hmm.
is, me too. How do you deal with jealousy? Like, what
So,
do you
like,
mean? What do you mean you don't get jealous? That's like, come on.
well, no, so I'm not a jealous person. I do get episodes of jealousy here and there. I'm human.
Okay.
But what we fail to do is investigate what we're feeling, what it truly is. It's a feeling of jealousy, but what caused that jealousy? Was it because I felt rejected? Was it because I'm missing something that you promised me you were going to give me? I mean, there are different reasons why we can feel jealous, right? A lot of times in regular couples, jealousy arises from, if you want somebody else, then they think, oh, I'm not enough. Why am I not enough for you? And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time it has nothing to do with you. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's not because you're not enough. So like I said, for me, I was never that jealous type in relationships. As soon as I say yes to engaging with you on that level, the trust was there for me. So I will trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you. So I never really had to worry. And even if I see another person looking at you, I actually enjoy that. I don't ask me why, but it in the polyamory world, it's called compersion.
I was just about to say there's a term for that. You got to it. So
Yes. So you
What does compersion mean for those who don't know?
compersion is basically being happy for your partner's happiness, even if that happiness doesn't come from you.
So strange. I remember hearing about years ago now. It's not it's not common knowledge. You know, it's
Mhm,
good that they have a word for it. But when
mhm.
I tell you the traditional people are just shaking their heads right now, like me too, like what
But
are you talking about?
it's because we are taught we when we love somebody, they're our property. That's what they
Yes,
teach us.
it's your
Therefore,
property.
you cannot do whatever you want because I control you,
That's
basically.
right. That's
You
right.
are mine and mine alone. And
Mm-hmm.
if you give me any sign that things are going to be different, I'm going to throw a tantrum and I'm going to be angry and I'm going to tell the whole world that you rejected me when it's not even the case. So,
That's that's 100%
and we can't
correct.
accept the fact that we cannot be everything for somebody, right? And we cannot accept that that person that we call our partner can find happiness outside of us, because how dare you? I'm supposed to make you happy, which is another thing. That's a whole other discussion. Okay.
Mm,
So that's why people, a lot of times, people don't even understand the source of their jealousy. Ask somebody, why are they jealous? What feelings are you having right now that makes you feel like you're jealous? They can't even put it in words.
I,
Sometimes you can help decode it, but most of the times they can't even put it in, because they're always, the answer that I always hear is, I don't know, he's just not supposed to do that, or she's not supposed to do that. I don't know, I'm just jealous. So.
so I'll tell you a quick story about that. I went to a polyamory meetup in Decatur many years ago. I had a guy, he he was there and his wife was out on a date with I think a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and I just was, so timid and new and like, oh my God, like you people are existing in real life. And so I was speaking to him and we talked about jealousy, and I'll never forget what he told me. He said that, he's human. I think it was his wife who introduced him to the idea, and he was willing to, I guess, try it out. And within I guess that evolution, he was kind of more okay for the sake of her happiness. But he
Mm-hmm.
told me, like, he said, like, he still does get jealous, but he said, if I remember correctly, he said, when I get jealous, I ask myself, why am I jealous?
Yep.
Um and I think he said it was something like, we are afraid of losing our partner to that other person, like they found somebody better than us. I think that's a very common, probably the number one fear that people have if you're going to entertain such things, like, oh my God, you found somebody prettier, more handsome, he or she makes more money, or that does things that you like that I can't do, I'm not enough. So
Mm-hmm.
how would you, I guess, make those, uh, you know ease those fears, if you will, if that word brought to you?
So it takes a lot of self work. Most of us, we just grow up, right? Nobody gave us a book to tell you how to deal with your feelings, right?
Mm,
They just tell you have the right to feel angry, you have the right to do this, you have the right. Yes, you do. You have the right to feel everything that you feel. How you deal with those feelings is what's important. Because, I can be angry and then I get up and kill somebody. Does that mean I dealt with my feelings in the right way? No. So it's pretty much how you deal with your feelings. I mean, if a partner is jealous, I'm not gonna be mad, because there's gonna be a reason why you are jealous, and we're gonna have a talk about it and pick it apart and see what's happening, if it truly has something to do with me, or if it's just your own insecurity, which is fine. We all have a little bit of insecurity in us every once in a while. Do we let
mhm.
that control our lives? We don't. But some people, they can't recognize what that insecurity is, to voice it. And I mean, I am one of those people. I used to be mad when somebody was jealous before, because I used to think that, oh, you were accusing me. And I mean, to me, it was a form of accusation. Oh, you were accusing me of doing this. That's why you're jealous. You don't trust me. That's why you're jealous, and all that stuff. But you know, we grow over time, and
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to address those worries in a partner. And basically, we just sit and talk. I can't tell you that I'm gonna solve your problem, but we can sit down and talk about the reason why you're feeling that way. And if it's something I need to adjust on my part to help you, I, we will, that's why we will do. That doesn't mean that I'm going to compromise what I want necessarily. It's just, I might be mindful, a little bit more mindful of certain things. So, yeah.
Awesome. So we're now at just over 30 minutes in the show. We're gonna start opening the floor soon. Um,
Okay.
and the goal is to stay within an hour, respect the time. But let me
Okay.
know. So I have one more question, and then we're gonna start going in order for the people that's been rocking with us the longest. So Mr. S, then Cassandre, um, if you could get the device connected, Rudy, Rody, then I'm gonna
Rodi.
get you next, Rody. So my question is, when I first, like I said, spoke to this lady, and she told me about um, her being okay with her boyfriend having other partners.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was intimidating for me, in that if the woman told me like, "Hey, you don't have to worry, just keep it real with me. If you like other people, just let me know, and then we'll go with that." I just find that to be refreshing, but a little bit intimidating, in that I don't think I would have fully trusted. I wouldn't believe it because it's so unusual.
Right.
Because that's just contrary to what I'm used to. Have
Mm-hmm.
you have you ever gotten that kind of a thing where like it's too good to be true? Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's
Right.
crazy.
So before I was married, I was engaged. And it was a long distance relationship, and it was probably one of the closest relationships that I had. So he was in Haiti, I was here. And I remember one time I went to visit, and he had a couple of little cute neighbors. I could tell that they really liked them. They were all just like, oh my God, when they were around him. And I was like, okay. So I talked to him about that. I'm like, oh, I noticed that so and so really likes you. If you want to go for it, you should go. And he's like, whatever, just kind of brush it off and everything. Um, we're still friends till this day. He's one of my closest friends. So we ended up talking about that not too long ago. Hey, remember when I told you you could do this and do that? He's like, well, I mean, obviously, knowing who you are now and your lifestyle, the way you love and all that, I understand that it wasn't a trap.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, must say na piège ou apese pram. When
Mm-hmm.
you giving me the okay to engage with this girl, he, you know, she likes me, and then wap di mwen ka entre non bagay avel, or whatever that might have been at the time. Excuse me. At the time, for me, I have to be honest, it was more like, hey, if you want to have sex with her, she wants to have sex with you, go for it. Because I wasn't on polyamory level yet. I just knew that I wasn't bothered by somebody liking my partner. So he's like, but now knowing who you truly are, I see now that it was like you truly meant it,
Mm-hmm.
and that you weren't trying to test me, but it was what it was, because I didn't know that, you weren't planning on killing me after I do it. So, yeah.
Okay.
So I've been in that situation.
Okay, awesome. So now we're gonna try to bring Mr. S on. Mr. S, I'm gonna add you to the stream.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome.
Great. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. S.
Hello, me too.
Hi.
Hi.
What you wanna share with us? You have any questions?
I don't have questions. The last thing you said kind of resonated with me because when I was first introduced to poly, it was a college girlfriend, and she basically told me that she would be okay with me being with someone else if I would just tell her. And with all of my years of upbringing and all of the teaching from the media and the news and all the music, I didn't believe her. I just didn't believe that she really meant this, and I just thought it was a setup. Like if
Yeah.
I do this, you gonna cuss me out. You don't really take this seriously. And so I actually never, me and her never actually explored an ethical non-monogamous relationship because we both just went back to the default, and I never believed her, and it wasn't until later that I actually would try it out.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for, because we're talking about polyamory, but I appreciate that you brought up ethical non-monogamy or
Yes, thank
consensual.
you. Ethical non-monogamy. That's a
There you
big
go. I'm glad
topic.
you came on board, Mr. S. And by the way, you have a very sexy voice.
You do too.
Wait, hold on. Mr. S, Mr. S, give us your little background. Are you Haitian? Give
I,
us a
I,
little bit.
I am not Haitian. I am a Southern American gentleman. I guess I'll call it that.
Oh, okay, okay,
I have I come from a Christian background.
okay.
I
So,
have been atheist for decade over. I've accepted being an atheist, I would say, for at least a decade. And
and are you and I friends yet? Because come on, man, what's going on here?
not that I know of, but I mean, if you're in groups, I'm probably in groups with you.
Okay, that's what's up.
But I found, especially with a lot of people I have dated, my being an atheist or my lack of belief allows me to feel freer
Yep.
to make choices about my relationships and only make those choices dealing with me. And so I've faced conflict, particularly when dating um, people of the religious persuasion, because I refuse to just blanket exclude a group of people because of their upbringing. But
Hmm.
I have the most difficulty dating um, the religious.
Religious people. Yeah.
Well, I know all about that difficulty, Mr. S. We're talking about polyamory, but like I said, Haitian free thinkers, the word free thinkers is important to me during my evolution because, like you said, as I left classical religion, Christianity to be more specific, I realized I was more free to just talk to people. Like before, it was like, don't talk to those people. They are this, don't talk to those people, they're that, what I'm saying? Like, I heard this bad stuff about them. Don't you dare entertain those thoughts. In Christianity, they talk about how make captive every thought, just thought crime. There's thought crime in Christianity. I'm gonna use Jesus talk. Jesus said, if you look at that woman with lust, you have committed adultery. And he said you should chop off your penis, something that nobody takes serious. That guy was nuts. He was crazy, and don't listen to that guy. I mean, all the good stuff that he talked about, okay, maybe, but he meant chopping off your member just because you are on Instagram. Mr. S, be on that Instagram feed looking at that stuff. But that's it. We're more mature now. We can hopefully be adults and be like, you know what? We are humans, ethical monogamy. These things should not be found out. You should not be finding out these things in your 20s and 30s because we're missing out on so much. And thank goodness that young lady, I don't know how that conversation happened, was able to share this information with you and look at you here tonight. So, having said that, thank you for participating. I'm gonna try to get some other people before it gets too late. So, Mr. S, holla at your boy. You see the name, send me that friend request. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
forgot to add
Mr.
that I'm married too. I forgot to add that part.
Okay. Well,
I'm
guess what?
married and practicing poly.
Hey,
That's awesome.
that's great. You know what? It's a thing. And like I said, it's all about honesty and knowing yourself and finding someone that supports you. So thank you. Let me get to the next person, but thank you for stopping by. All right. So that was a good first foray. I got Rudy, are you on, Rudy?
Oh yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's going on? What you got for us?
Okay, I have few simple questions from you two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being a polyamorous, do you have a limit on how many people that you were dating at once? And
Mm-hmm.
if you do, how do you manage your schedule in order for one of them not to feel left out?
That's five. That's 7 days in the week. That's Monday. That's Tuesday. Anyway, I let me to answer that one.
So very great questions, Rudy. So another outside of, I guess, aside from honesty and great communication, time management and also knowing what you can handle are very important in polyamory. Um, for me, I don't necessarily have a certain amount of partners that I feel like, oh, if I'm at that number, I'm done. It really depends on what I have going on in my life at the time. So sometimes I can have just one partner and feel like I am saturated. That's a word that we use in the poly community. That's when you feel like you can't take on any more partners,
That
because
goes
I
both,
have
guys.
yes, you
Both,
know.
both.
So I may have so much going on that if I add somebody else, they may not get the same attention that I need to give that relationship. And sometimes I may be able to have 4 or 5 partners depending on my capacity. So it really comes down to time management. And you say, how do I manage my time? It's literally scheduling, scheduling, scheduling. Just
I
like
live
you
by it.
schedule.
Google Calendar, everybody. Calendly.
That's it. You
That's
know,
it.
some people who are in polycules, they share their calendar. I don't necessarily share my calendar with anybody, but it's for me. I identify as solo poly, so which means I
Yes.
date
Thank you.
freely. I'm a free
Definitions.
agent, right? So I
Hmm.
date whomever I want, and nobody has priority over anybody. Because I'm not married, I don't have like I don't plan on getting married again. So it's first come, first serve. If I'm dating you, Rudy, and you say, hey, me too, I want to see you Friday at 5 for dinner. Can we go out? Can we do this? Whatever. If the I'll look at my calendar. I always have my calendar. I'll look at it. If the time is open, hey Rudy, no problem. We can do that. If I'm already hanging out with either friends or another partner, then I'll tell you, actually, that time is not good. How about this other time? Would that work
Hmm.
for you? And you have to be flexible and understanding as well,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
just like you schedule everything else, you schedule drinks with friends, you schedule basketball games, you schedule this and that. It's the same thing you're going to schedule, the same way you're going to schedule your relationships. So it's pretty much whatever dynamic you have going on and the priority that you give each one.
One last question because I know you have to go to someone else.
Uh,
Does that also make you very open? Let's say if you see a guy, you would like to date him. Do you go straight to him and let him know, hey, I'm a polyamorous, I'm attracted to you? Are you that open?
Oh, absolutely. When I like somebody, I let you know. Now, the thing is, just because I like you doesn't mean you have to like me back, but I'm gonna shoot my shot, you know. If it sticks, it sticks. If not, oh thanks, you know. We don't have to be rude about it because many times people approach me and they like me and I'm not necessarily interested in them in that way. Sometimes we become friends. I've had people that I've met on dating websites and we end up just being friends, not, lovers or anything like that. So if I like somebody, I will definitely let you know because I don't want to miss out on an opportunity just because I was too afraid to speak up. I'm grown. If I like you, I'm going to tell you.
Exactly.
Thank
So
you very much.
thank you,
Thank
Rudy. So we're gonna go to probably our first female here, Kareen and Cassandra. I know you're here, but it says device is not connected. So please let us know what's going on with that. But until then, we have Kareen P, who wants to join us and share some thoughts. Kareen, can you hear us? There she is. Kareen,
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Hi,
hi.
Green. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Great.
Very interesting topic.
Thank you. Reggie chose it.
Yes, I did choose it.
So how do you feel um like when you with men that are married or men that
You're breaking up.
how do you manage like with if you're friends with men that are married or men that have girlfriends and if you happen to like those men, how does that work?
So, my first question is, are you polyamorous? Um, so typically, and I really do try to engage with people who are only polyamorous. I don't want to deal with mono people because most of the time, if you're monogamous and you're talking to me, you're mostly looking to cheat on your partner, and I'm not about that life.
Mhm.
Correct.
Um, if you are polyamorous and I like you, and I will talk to you about it. Hey, I like you. What's your dynamic? Because there are different dynamics that I don't want either because I'm polyamorous. Because I can be polyamorous and Reggie can be polyamorous, but if Reggie wants a triad, which is a man with two women in a close relationship and they're all with each other or vice versa. I'm not looking for that. I don't like anything closed. But I will definitely approach you and ask you if you're polyamorous. Oh, great. If you're polyamorous, would you be interested in dating me? Because I like you, this and that. And if you are, then we start going out. But I always make sure as well that eventually I need to talk to your wife or meet her because I've dated married men before. And one of my partners is actually married. I am good friends with his wife. I don't date the wife because that's a misconception that everybody has. They think because you are dating the man that you have to be with with the woman as well. No, we're good friends, and that's pretty much it. I just date the husband, but everybody knows it's consensual, just like we say, consensual non-monogamy. If your partner is not down with it, then guess what? It's not happening.
Oh, okay. So the wife is aware.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because most of the time, if the guy is polyamorous, most of the time, I'm not saying all occasions, but the wife is most likely polyamorous as well, and she may be dating other people, have other boyfriends or girlfriends, depending on what she wants.
Mhm.
Those are the type of people I typically engage with.
So I want to chime in. That's again, I'm putting this comment on somebody just put this comment. But that's the difference between polyamory and the traditional pseudo model culture, right?
Hmm.
People are lying to themselves, and that's why the whole side piece thing comes in.
Right.
Um, you're not poly if you're unable to talk to your partners. That's the
Yes.
whole difference. Your
Hmm.
ability to be honest with yourself first, and then secondly, your ability to speak to your partner about your feelings. Now, how
Hmm.
they receive that, that's a fear that a lot of people have. I'll be straight up with you. And the reason why is because, yo, especially if you got into the relationship promising that you guys gonna be ride or die,
Right.
and then things switch. You can understand how the person might feel like a little bit of a bait and switch. Like, what do you mean you wanna go do whatever? I'll foot on côté with that noise. You know what I mean? So you're like afraid. I'm sure a lot of people are like afraid to say like, yo, like I
I'm
think this is
interested in
it for
something
me,
else.
and I don't want to lose you. But
Right.
so they end up doing stuff that they're not supposed to, and then you know, and then the rest is history. So that's usually how
Yeah.
it goes.
Did that answer your question, Karine?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Karine, thank you for joining.
Question here, I would like to address.
The one
So,
that I posted.
yes,
Okay.
it says, so would you say you are polyamorous, non-committal? Are there two types, committal and non-committal? Um, I'm not an expert, but I would say, there everything you could be in a relationship, in a non-committal relationship. You don't have to be polyamorous for that, right? A lot of, let's say, for example, a married man with a side chick. Now, sometimes it's a very committed relationship with the side chick, and sometimes it's just sex. They don't They're not looking for anything
No,
or anything like that. So I
no.
would not say, hold on, I would not say that I am non-committal. I commit to my partners because the second that we decide we enter the partnership, that's commitment to you. Now, commitment can be different for everybody, can look different for everybody. For a married couple, commitment is probably finances intertwined, taking care of the children and all that stuff. And for me and somebody else who's not married, it can mean something else. It can mean I'm gonna call you if I have an emergency and you're gonna come help me. Like I can count on you that if I call you, you're gonna come, you're gonna help me with whatever is going on. That's commitment. It doesn't mean that we have to be married or living together to be committed to each other.
Okay. Corinne, I took you off. I apologize if I didn't tell you in advance, but me too wanted to answer that question. Now we got Stan on. Stan, I muted you. So thank you for the question. Facebook user, it doesn't show the name, but Stan, I'm going to unmute you and then you can tell us what you're thinking. You're on, Stan. Stan, can you hear me? Stan, can you hear me? All right, Stan.
The next one, and he can come back when he's
Yep,
ready.
I'll take Stan off. And we've spoken to everybody that's still on, because I believe it's my cousin, but it still says device not connected. So Kareen is still on. I'm trying to get Stan. Let me try.
We can try and answer some of the questions while you cipher through the people who are waiting.
Yeah, so you answered that question. And then the next one is more of a comment. It says she can be committed, but exclusively committed.
What do you mean by exclusively committed?
That I don't know, and it unfortunately doesn't show who the person's name is. But Stan, I'm going to try you one more time, and we're coming up on almost an hour. So we were trying to do an hour and a half. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to try to add you again, Stan, if you are listening and are able to join. Stan, can you hear me?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, that's fine.
I saw a question. Somebody asked, why do you get jealous? So this one particular time that I remember I felt jealousy was one time I was supposed to hang out with one of my partners, and I guess maybe I assumed, I can't even really truly remember. Maybe I assumed we were gonna hang out for a certain amount of time, let's say 5 hours, right? And then he ended up having to cut the time shorter because he had something else to do with one of his friends. So I left feeling cheated. Not necessarily like in the sense of cheating, somebody sexually cheating or anything like that. It's just I was like, my interaction with my partner was cut short because he had something else to do with somebody else, and I just felt basically I didn't get what was promised to me when actually nothing was promised to me. So it was my own insecurity at that moment. I assumed we did not necessarily
talk about it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We didn't have an agreement that, okay, we're going to spend 5 hours together. I assumed that, we're going to spend at least 4 or 5 hours together, or whenever we're ready to part ways, we're going to part ways. But since we didn't do something else as well, which sometimes I do too, but in that moment, I felt like I did not get all the time that I wanted, but it was on my end for not communicating clearly what my expectations were. So that was my jealous moment.
Okay, excellent. So we're close to an hour. I had a question that came to mind that I want to ask you. So what do you do? Well, what would you say to those people? What advice would you give to people who really accept that they're poly, they're open to exploring it, but they're in a relationship, whether marriage or not, where they really think that they're gonna lose their partner if they tell them that they want to, I guess, an open relationship, or tell them that they're poly. Or like, what do you tell those people, somebody in that situation?
I think it's worth talking about it at least. That doesn't mean that your partner is going to say yes to it. And just also don't expect changes to happen overnight, because it's a big shock. I mean, your whole relationship was based on you and me, right? Basically, that relationship was based on you and me, and now you come into this person telling them that, "Oh, I want to add more." So you can't expect that person in like 5 seconds to be like, "Oh, sure, bring it on." Sometimes it takes time for people to change their mind, because the person I am today is not necessarily going to be the person I am in 2 months. The
Mhm.
person I was 5 years ago is not the person I am today. A lot of things have changed for me, the way I think, the work that I did on myself as well, with therapy and other resources, reading some books, self, and so you have to also be patient and be kind to your partner. They may just want to punch you if you say something like that. I don't
Yeah.
condone violence, just to be clear. I'm just saying, for you bringing up something major like that, there's never any good time to bring it up. Let me just say that,
Not
because
even after good sex.
no, I don't think there's ever a good time, because you guess the first thought that's gonna go through that person, might, am I not enough?
Mm.
And you have to be ready. Also, give that person the reasons why you want to open your relationship. And then also allow time for this person to process what you just told them. It can take hours, it can take days, weeks, sometimes years. You can't tell that person at what pace to move. Now, it's going to depend on how important it is to you. If
Mhm.
you feel like, okay, I truly really want this, but if you don't want that, what am I willing to do? Am I willing to be miserable for the rest of our relationship? Which, once that suggestion is brought up, no matter what the outcome is, if the other person says no, you're gonna be resenting that person for the rest of your life, because you're gonna start blaming this person for not agreeing to your terms, which really, they have no reason necessarily to agree to your terms. They don't have to. This is what you want. So there might be some tough decisions that need to be made. So you may end up feeling like, okay, well, I'm just going to stay in this relationship and not live my life the way I want. Or if this person never ever wants to live like that, because there's nothing wrong with being wanting to be monogamous either. So if this person never wants the same thing I want, am I ready to part ways with that person? Because some people, they feel like, if I have 10 years invested into a marriage, no matter how unhealthy it is, I can't get out of it. I should not get out of it because it's been so long. So you're going to have some tough decisions to make.
Definitely. I just flashed a question on. I don't know if you saw, but basically you answered it more or less. Sometimes, yeah. Let me put the question back on. It says
Okay.
your parents has to want the. I think it says your partner. Your partner has to
Okay.
want the same thing. What if the other doesn't want the lifestyle? Have you witnessed the breakdown of relationships this way?
I have not necessarily witnessed it because of that, but I'm sure there's been stories like that. Yeah, your
Mhm.
partner has to want it in order for you to move forward with it. No, well, let me rephrase that. You can move forward with it, but that may mean that you may end up losing your partner, because whose happiness is the best? Because remember, we are responsible for ourselves. We are responsible for our own happiness. If it's truly what you want, if that's the only thing you feel like that's going to make you feel whole and happy and all that stuff, unfortunately, you may have to make that decision. I'm not telling anybody to break up, but
No, we're
you
not
have to
saying that.
choose how you want to live. Yeah, you know.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? The time has flown by. Obviously you see you're a natural. You know what I'm saying? People love you. Your fans showed up, even though it was kind of short notice, but we can do a part two. Do you think you have a part two in you?
Absolutely. I'm always up for discussing polyamory. I love one of my ex-partners, he's like, you and another girl that he dated, he's like, you guys are like advocates for polyamory. I'm like, I wouldn't call it that, but yes, I would like for more people to know that it's okay to not be the way that society expects you to be. It's
Mhm.
okay to want something different than what you were brought up to want. It's okay to just be different.
Yeah.
And I just want people to know that there are communities for whatever you're feeling. There is a community out there to support you and help you through your journey. And you should go through with it with no shame, because if it's who you are, it's who you are. You should not live in shame.
Yes, indeed. As we wrap up, I want to give the viewers some resources because this is being recorded. More Than Two was a book that I was referred to in the community. Um, Great book. There's an audio book. I think that's the one that has an audio book. Um,
There, there
Opening Up.
okay. Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I just I just want to share some resources before we go. Opening Up, a guide to creating and sustaining relationships. Look that up. If you have any more questions, you can hit me up and I can share. But there's a lot of information out there. We didn't even talk about different types of marriages, polyandry. There's marriages where you can have one woman and multiple husbands. You know, it's not
Mhm.
very popular, but it's still practicing some rural areas. I didn't even talk about Solomon, who had 700 wives and 300 concubines. You know what I'm saying? You know what a concubine is? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Um, I wanted to touch more on how, females have always been getting the short end of the sticks if they are confident in knowing what they want and how society tends to treat them, as opposed to the males. Males get to, I guess, they get celebrated for
Free.
being very masculine, I guess. But hopefully, we can bring all those elements in part two. I want to thank each and every person who was able to rock with us for the hour. I know it's late in the evening, in the middle of a week, and there's more questions to be asked, but we're going to let you plug what you need to plug. Where can they find you? Where can they hear your wonderful band, which I've had the privilege of witnessing live? It's awesome and all that.
So you can find me on Facebook at Mitou Charles. So follow me, like my page. My salon name is the same, Airmeet Charles Salon. I am on Facebook and on
Mhm,
Instagram, and also
mhm.
follow me for my music page. Remember, I'm an entrepreneur, so I need your support. Me Too Charles and Essence Creole, both on Facebook and IG. And then for the salon, the same thing, Air Mitchell Salon on Facebook and IG. And then my personal page, Air Me to Charles on Facebook. Send me a friend request and send me a message to let me know how why you sending me the the friend request, because there's a lot of pending friend requests. But if you said you were on the show, I will most likely accept you, and you can ask me any questions I can answer for you. I would be more than happy. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I can share my experiences. And there are a lot of resources out there about polyamory if you're thinking about opening your relationship, or even if you're single and thinking about living as such. There's More Than Two is an amazing book. It's very
Amazing
practical.
book. Amazing.
Yes, very practical. I did polysecure, but it's more on psychology. So people, if your attention span is very short, you may not necessarily like it. But More Than Two is a great book, and also some self work books will also help you through the journey.
Awesome. Yeah, so 10:35 Eastern Time, February 1, Black History Month. Two Haitians, and you guys are wonderful. I want to give a shout out to everybody that participated, all the Facebook users that left comments. I couldn't see your name, otherwise I would have shouted you out. But Hassan, I think we know who that is. Kareem, thank you. Mr. S, holla at your boy Reggie Beloved. Stan, I don't know what happened. Rudy, Rody, maybe the same person, probably not. But listen,
There
thank
are
you
two. No,
guys.
there are two. There's Brody in Canada, and Rudy is in Georgia.
Okay, so two different people. Let's see if we
Yes.
can do that again. Guys, if you're following, just keep an eye between her page and my page when we do get that, because we do have to schedule things. We got to remember, got to follow the script. We got to see, hey, where does Reggie fit in my schedule? Let me tell you, she's a stickler. She was like, listen, we're gonna do this because I blocked it off for you, and I really appreciate that. Me too, because a lot of people they don't follow up, they don't, and that was not you. So thank you for showing up, thank you for sharing, and I hope somebody somewhere got something out of it. If you guys have any questions, reach us. We will probably do a number 2. For the rest of you, they are polyamorous Haitians, there are secular atheist Haitians. We are not a monolithic group, and we are human beings. Okay, so it's okay. It is okay. A lot of people are going to have questions. They're going to be too shy to kind of be upfront about it. We were all there once. We were the flies on the wall, and through education, hey, we've evolved. And like Mitou said, we were not the same people 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago, and who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So having said that, we're going to close it off. Again, thank you guys for everything. Mitou, stay wonderful, and happy Black History Month. And again, it's, you guys, look for it. And you guys have a good night.
Thank you, Reggie, for having me. And thank you guys for being here. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.